I'm Laura. Welcome to GGTV. We're going to be doing a beginning/intermediate level class today. This class is going to be pulling from some modern techniques, release technique, a little bit of Limon. The Floorwork style that Gracie and I have been working within and playing with for the last 10 years is very influenced by our training in these modern techniques. We're going to start with like a follow along warm-up thing. So go ahead and lay down. And just face the side, make sure you can see me. So my arms are going to be shoulder height. You want to make sure they're not above shoulder height. That's going to encourage my ribs to flare. So I want to just make sure that is clear. And then my legs are going to be in parallel. So similar to when you're standing, you want the feet to be hip distance apart, not too wide. You don't want to be internally rotating or externally rotating. Take a moment here to just soften your bottom ribs down. You can even bring your hands to your low ribs and then just brush them down to your hips and then return the arms to where they are. We're going to begin by just experiencing some leg drops. So you're going to release the muscles in the legs and allow the heels to move away from the sits bones, and then drag the knees up the side and then close the legs back to parallel. Keep moving through this and I'll talk you through some cues. I'm trying to drop my legs with their true weight, so you should hear your legs hitting the floor, and there will be a little bit of a ricochet that happens. I'm keeping my low belly connected to my spine, as opposed to fully disengaging my abs. And then turn to face me as I'm in this moment where I pull my knees up to the side. I'm trying to keep my hip flexors as released as possible. I almost visualize that someone has taken my pant leg and is just doing this action for me, as opposed to gripping. You might notice that if your heels are coming off the floor, that's probably a sign that you're gripping here. So as you let the knees drag to the side, try to keep everything in the hips and the feet nice and heavy. And let's just do that one leg at a time. So now just let the right leg drop and open. And allow the body to accommodate for this extra shift to the right, so I can feel my hips moving across to the right a little bit more. I'm not micromanaging keeping my hips stable and square. I am actually allowing the weight of the thigh to tell the rest of my body to make a tiny accommodation. And let's just do that with the other leg. As you draw your knee up to the ceiling, ask yourself if there's anywhere where you can release tension that is not needed in order to make that motion happen. And then I'm gonna now do some leg swings. So I'm gonna drop my thighs and then let the top foot follow through in a swing. It's gonna make an arc, and then it's gonna swing back into that parallel position. Knees will drop to the other side, the foot will continue this arc, and then swing back through the center. This should feel like a nice spine twist. And then recheck in with the concepts we've talked about, releasing the hip flexors, keeping the feet, the heels attached to the floor as you move through this parallel position. The arms should still be shoulder height, and I should feel my bottom ribs brush down to my hips. And then just turn your head to face me. So there's a moment where I've done this portion, and then I want to have some energy in the leg as it swings itself back through this parallel place. It catches this bottom thigh with it as it goes, and then again just watch that you're not lifting your heels and gripping in your hips and then arching your back. Let's just take about 4 more. Allow the thighs to fully be patient as they drop to the floor. Notice that your knees are making a big arc. And then I'm going to bring my arms overhead and come into a fetus position. And then return back to my parallel. You can call this baby. Drawing everything in and then spreading back out. Enjoy the feeling of the hands and the feet staying attached to the floor and of your core activating a little bit as you draw your head close to your knees. And as you pass on your back, see if you can release the tension around the neck. And the next time you take a baby to face your device, just stay there. I'm going to imagine that I have a friend with me, and they're going to pull my top leg toes behind me. As they do that, it's going to tell my hip to come up, and then I'm just going to take that all the way back down. Oh, it's so weird that the camera's all the way back there. I forget to look at it because I'm just like, where is it? And then arms go overhead, and we'll do that on the other side. So take a baby, and then your top toes are going to pull you up. And then folding back on that bottom arm. Back towards camera. Pause here. Let's talk through a couple things. I have folded this elbow in, which should feel familiar to you from other Floorwork pathways on the platform, as opposed to it being long. That is going to help me as I come up. The other things I'm thinking about is that I'm trying to avoid moving my spine in one cohesive piece. I'm trying to make that action sequential. So you can visualize that your spine starts all the way sort of where your ears and your nose are, and then ends all the way down here. So that entire spine, which connects my head and my tail, it's almost like a string of pearls, trying to get one pearl to stack, 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 stack. So let's all come to our baby. My friend pulls my toes, my tail starts the stacking, and then just move through this slowly and see if you can visualize the pearls stacking one vertebrae at a time, all the way until you've reached up here. From here, I'm just gonna tell my knee to come in and then open back out. Same thing from the hip all the way to the head. Okay, while we're seated, we're just gonna take a moment to move through some spinal positions and find some clarity in them. So just start simply leaning side to side. So in this, I'm moving into my lateral space, which is on the sides of me. As I'm taking this lateral lean, I am imagining that I am sitting against a wall, and I am trying to avoid my shoulders, my head peeling off the wall or pushing too far into the wall. So you should just feel your ears sort of dropping side to side. And we talked about the head-tail connection. I'm going to imagine my tail is super heavy down and my head is floating up, so I have nice long spine. And then just place both hands down. I'm going to stay long in the lower part of my spine. Drop the head and begin a roll down, but then stop right underneath the shoulder blades and then reverse that rolling up. So it should feel very small / subtle. Drop the head, roll down slowly, stop right underneath your shoulder blades, and then come up. Let's do that one more time. Just place your hands on your belly and your low back. And what you are looking for is that there is not shifting happening in that lower part of the spine. A lot of techniques call this a high curve. So this is going to stay stable where my hands are. Drop the chin. Roll down a few vertebrae. And then retrograde that, stacking with the head as the last thing. We'll place the hands down. We're going to do the same thing, but reverse. I don't know if that's the right term, but to the back for a high curve. So I'm going to start with the top of the head and then arching through the top part of my spine and then coming back up. You can place your hands back on your belly and your low back. Find the same stability in that low area. The chest should feel like it's singing up to the ceiling and we're not crunching in our low back. Come up. So we have a high curve, a high arch, and then lateral leans.